with that, we move to a highlight video here for the Pac-12 Championship Game, Oregon and USC game 251, 252. I'm ATS Radio host Adam Burke, joined by pro bettor and handicapper Kyle Hunter from huntersportspicks.com. And Kyle, this wasn't supposed to be our Pac-12 Championship Game matchup. It was supposed to be Washington. They are unable to play because they wouldn't have enough players available. I think I saw they wouldn't even have an offensive line for this game, which would make it pretty difficult to beat anybody with the exception of maybe Bowling Green or Akron. But you got USC here in this game. 3-point favorite, total 63. This one will be played at the Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles. So does that impact the handicap for you at all?
You know, this is a good game to handicap, in my opinion. I think this is a fun game, one of my favorite of the weekend. In fact, you know, with Washington having the issues that they were, I think this is certainly a better matchup than what it would have been with Washington, because Oregon still has a high upside. I don't think Oregon has really showed that upside yet, but I think they're very capable. To be honest with you, I want to lean toward Oregon in this game because getting 3.5 points some places now, I don't like laying points with Clay Helton. You know, Clay Helton's not a very good coach. I'm not really saying I think Cristobal's a great coach either. You know, Oregon has actually recruited better than USC in some of these recent seasons. If you look at this game, though, Slovis is a tremendous quarterback, and Oregon's secondary, which was supposed to be good, has not been good at all. I still don't know what's going on with Oregon's defense. Their defense is far worse than they should have been. Their offense has been good. You know, Oregon has an explosive offense. So the way I want to look in this game is over the total. This has been bet up a little bit now here to 63, but I still think 63 is a pretty fair number because both teams play with pace. Both teams get a lot of big plays on offense. So we're not talking, you know, moving the ball down the field at 4 or 5 yards a clip. We're talking about getting big gainers, 15, 20 yards at a time. So I think there's going to be a lot of big plays in this one. I think it's going to be a back and forth affair. And with the spread, what it is, I would suspect that this could be a back and forth shootout type game instead of one team getting way ahead and trying to burn the clock. And obviously we have a chance for an overtime. So I'll look toward over 63 as my favorite play in this one.
Yeah, I definitely think that's an excellent look here. And in fact, I'm seeing that there still are some 62.5s out there. If you really look hard enough, I think the over is the play in this game. As far as a side goes, you know, again, as you mentioned, Oregon's defense has been very underwhelming this season, thought to be a strength, but you know, nothing against Jimmy Lake, who I think is a very good defensive coordinator. I would have been a little bit concerned about him game planning here as somebody who's doing this for the first time in a conference championship game as a head coach. I think a guy with like Mario Cristobal, who has more experience, a guy that, you know, we know is a closer as a recruiter, guys like that really understand and appreciate the value it has to win a conference championship game. So I think Cristobal has an advantage here over Clay Helton, especially considering that this game was announced, Monday morning, I believe, that, you know, Washington wasn't going to be able to play. So it's a quick turnaround for both of these teams. I'm sure they had an idea that it was coming, but I think in that shorter window, I trust Cristobal's team to be ready more so than I trust Clay Helton's team. And something else too is that, and I've watched a few Oregon games here throughout the course of the season, they're a good second half team. They make good second half adjustments. I know they had some issues in the second half against Oregon State in what we used to call the Civil War, but I think Oregon is a team that can come out of the locker room for the second half looking a bit better than USC as well. So over's a look. I'm considering Oregon +3 pre-flop, but I think Oregon from a live standpoint or Oregon as a second half play will probably be the way I'll approach this late game on Friday.
Yeah, and one more point I wanted to make is Oregon played really well in this Pac-12 title game last year. Remember when Utah had a chance to do something special and Oregon came out and just hit them in the mouth. So, you know, Oregon did not play last weekend. USC did in that rivalry game. You could certainly make the argument that Oregon is in a better spot than USC in this game.
And I'm also surprised, too, this line hasn't come down. I think there's a chance that it does because USC – they won and covered last week, but they were not the better team in that game. UCLA was not only covering that number, but winning that game for a pretty decent part of it. So I'm a little bit surprised that there's not more of an anti-USC sentiment here. In other words, what I'm saying is if you like Oregon, I think you may want to do it because I think this is a line that does move down as we get closer to the game. But there's a comprehensive breakdown from us here on ATS Radio for Oregon and USC. Make sure you subscribe to the full editions here of ATS Radio, which you can find on Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, anywhere you stream and download your podcast content.